A year after 9-year-old Anthonette Cayedito disappeared from her home in Gallup, New Mexico, a 911 call was received. The frantic voice of a little girl on the other end of the line said, "I'm Anthonette." Then, an adult voice in the background yelled, "Who said you could use the phone?" before the call was abruptly disconnected. I'm Esther, host of Once Upon a Crime. Today, I'm joined by journalist and investigator Crystal Gutierrez to discuss the disappearance of Anthonette Cayedito and what Crystal and her team are doing to push the unsolved case of this missing child forward. Stay tuned until the end to learn how you can help with the investigation. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more true crime cases, updates, and news. Now, let's go to the interview. Hello and welcome.
Thank you, Esther. Yes, I'm so excited to finally be able to sit and chat with you for a little bit. So for folks who have not heard of who we are Beyond the Case. I'm a retired news anchor / investigative reporter here with the CBS affiliate in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And, I kind of felt like missing persons cases, they don't get enough attention. So I jumped out of that, Esther, and that's when I said, I'm going to call one of my retired detectives and see what he's doing, get him on as a private investigator, and we actively reinvestigate missing persons cases. We start from the beginning, documents, interviewing witnesses, family members, persons of interest. We knocked on the doors of suspects, and you go with us as we actively reinvestigate this case. And what I truly feel separates us from other investigations is that we release more information. It's a very, very fine line, though, Esther, between releasing too much information to jeopardize a case and releasing enough information to hopefully get new tips. And a lot of our cases, I would say majority of our cases, have received tips that we're actively looking into.
Just seeing, like, going back on some of these cases that are so cold, right? I can't even imagine where you start from on those, because like the one that we're going to talk about today happened in 1986. So,
Yes.
I mean, and but it's when I'm watching your investigation unfold here, it's like it's happening now, right? But there's
Right.
so much history and there's so many things that you have to go over and things that you have to find that were missed, and even people, like tracking down people. So tell us about this case from 1986. Like, how did that start? How did you get involved with it? And just summarize it a little bit, and then we could talk about where you are in the investigation.
Absolutely. So this is the case that we're talking about. And just to show you that we do the legwork, this is one of 4 binders that we utilize for the case. And yeah, that's her. That's Anthonette Cayedito. She went missing, as you mentioned, back in 1986. She was only 9 years old when she vanished. What's bizarre about her case is that she was at home with her mom, her 2 younger sisters, and in the middle of the night, between what we've kind of narrowed it down, between about 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. is when she vanished. No sign of any car that was there. There's no eyewitness to tell us we saw, maybe a blue car or whatever. There's no witness to say that. So for majority of, I would say, the coverage of this case, they were going off of what Anthonette's mom had told law enforcement, was that they went to sleep. Somebody knocked on the door. Anthonette went to go check who it was, and the mom claims that she fell asleep and she didn't realize she wasn't there until the morning, till daybreak. And when she did notice she was missing, that's when she claims that she woke up her other 2 daughters. They did an active search of the home. They started a search outside of their home, and there no trace. Nothing was taken. None of her belongings. There wasn't any, door that was kind of kicked in or anything to show forced entry. It was as if Anthonette just vanished completely. About a year after she disappeared, there was a call that came into police. And at that time, the young girl claimed to be Anthonette. She said she was in Albuquerque. Now, police have since looked into that call and they were able to trace it back, saying that it was actually from the Gallup area. Um, what's interesting about that is that we actively work with the families or a family member of the person who's missing. So Sadie was 7 when Anthony went missing. She's Anthonette's younger sister, and she's heard that call of the young girl who claimed that she was Anthonette and said she needed help. And then some adults, it's such an eerie phone call. You hear the adult grab the phone and say, "What are you doing? You know, you're not supposed to be on the phone." And they slam it shut, and that was the end. There was never another call that came into police. Um, and Sadie does believe that it could sound like Anthonette. The way that she said her name sounded the way Anthonette said her name. And that call is almost haunted. You know, a lot of people close to this case because they wonder if that was Anthonette, where was she? Who
Mhm.
had her?
Right.
You know, and what happened after that?
Right.
So it's a heartbreaking case for sure.
She was born on December 25th, 1976, which means this Christmas she'll be 50.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? She's been missing since she was 9. I mean, that just broke my heart. I'm like, oh my God, every Christmas, this
Hmm.
little girl's not there, right, for her birthday. So just gives me chills when I think about that. But the whole thing is like we said, it's sketched from the beginning. Like, who tells their kid to open the door at 3 in the morning and
Right?
doesn't check to see who it is? There's just a lot of things. Of course, the mother right away was, people, were suspicious about something that went on there. But this is what I wondered about that. First of all, we said this in Gallup, New Mexico. Who was the first investigator? Was it tribal police or was it like the city police?
City
Started.
police.
Okay.
City
So we
police.
start there.
Yes. Eventually, it went to the FBI, and that is where, beyond the case, myself and the investigator, we actually uncovered a bombshell in this case because what was released to us, we were able to get our hands on a statement and the questioning of Penny, who was Anthonette's mother. She's deceased, and I'm going to say it. We believe it was a confession.
Mhm.
Everything in what she told the FBI that day sounded very similar to a confession. She named 2 men in that statement. And as I mentioned, one was questioning, one was the statement that she wrote down, the other was more like a questioning back and forth. And she also mentioned how she had a conversation with one of the 2 men. Um, Let me paint this picture for you. According to, what Penny said was it was herself, 2 men drinking one night. One of the men left, the other stayed. She had a conversation with that man, um, discussing Anthonette and how she was becoming a little bit of a handful, according to Penny, according to this confession. Um, and then that man told her, "I could take her off your hands." It kind of stops there. It doesn't say fully if he did or did not. However, that man who was named in that statement by Penny, we do know from other witnesses, took Anthonette, a 9-year-old girl, flowers before she disappeared and a necklace. Um, that necklace, according to Sadie, who's Anthonette's younger sister, um, stayed on an altar in their home that the mom kind of erected as kind of like a little memorial. If you want to say a prayer to bring Anthonette home, it's here. And that necklace from that man stayed on that altar the whole time. All of the signs are just kind of lining up
Right.
that this man
Somehow
had something to
involved.
do with her disappearance. Yeah.
Right. Right. So that statement that she made that sounds like a confession. How long after the disappearance was that?
This was years after.
Okay.
This was years after. This was soon before she passed away. Um, She made this statement, I believe, and we've told Sadie this as well. Sadie was able to read it. We allowed her to read the whole thing. And that's what we also do for our investigations is we're working for the family member and we tell them whatever we have, you have. If you want a copy of our entire case file, we'll make you a copy and give it to you. If they don't want to read it, we don't force it on them. Sometimes it's too hard. It was eye-opening for Sadie to know that Sadie actually went with her mom that day to the FBI's office. And her mom told her that she did not get questioned by the FBI that day, and that these two other men who she had been speaking with were the ones that were interviewed, but she wasn't. And so when we gave her that statement, it revealed that that was likely the day that Sadie was with her when she went to go speak with the FBI.
So I had a question about the thing about the man who brought her flowers. This was something that Penny told the detectives. She gave them his name and then told them about this incident. Now, if she was in somehow some kind of agreement arrangement with this man, why would she give that weird information? Or what do you think she was trying to throw it back off onto him?
So let me give you this little bombshell, which is going to blow your mind. She initially did not tell police. It was her family. When police were there, detectives were at the house, and they said, "Hey, you need to tell them that this man stopped by and gave Anthonette flowers." And she kind of just blew it off. According to these other, the statement from police when they wrote everything out, they pointed out that she almost kind of blew it off, kind of like, oh, it wasn't that big of a deal. Um, so initially, she didn't say it. It was other family members who witnessed it as well who said it. Police did a great job at the beginning of this. They did interview a lot of people who were there, and they interviewed another man who was with this man who bought the flowers. He confirmed he bought the flowers. They also interviewed some other people who saw him at the house dropping off the flowers to Anthonette. So there's a lot of other witnesses that piece together the flowers. Um,
So
but
then she had to
Penny,
come clean with that, right? Later on. Okay.
yes. So
That
Penny
makes
initially,
that makes more
at the beginning of the investigation, she did not say it right off the bat. It was family members that told her, you should probably say this. So she did say it at the beginning, but she kind of said it like, yeah, it kind of happened, but it wasn't a big deal.
Okay. Got it. That makes more sense. Okay. I was wondering about that. It was very strange. But yeah, so there was one other thing. And I want to get to where you are in the investigation, what's coming next. But there was one thing, one of the last videos that you released about this case, where it's the woman in the diner who was the waitress who says she recognized Anthonette.
Yes.
And but she didn't know the woman she was with. So what confused me a little bit about that is there was another sighting earlier on in the investigation of another waitress, but that was separate, right?
Totally
That wasn't
separate.
her.
Yes. So the first sighting, there were several sightings of Anthonette. As I said, this is one of four binders. There's an entire black binder of tips that came into the FBI of possible sightings of Anthonette. One was a sighting of a young girl just a few years after Anthonette went missing, who the waitress at that time said it was in Nevada, I believe. The waitress claimed the little girl kind of passed a note to her saying, like, I'm in trouble type of note. They were never able to verify that story. They weren't able to find the young girl who left that note, according to the waitress. Now, this case, this new tip, I should say, just surfaced just recently within the last, year and a half. And this actually came in after a couple of our episodes aired. This woman came forward. She emailed us. She was very hesitant at first. She was like, I want to give you this. I don't know, want the attention. I don't know what to do, which made it better for us because sometimes you'll get tips and they're just like, I want all the attention, right? She was very hesitant. She's like, do I need to talk to you? Do I not need to? How do I give you this information? And I'm not even sure if I'm right, type of thing. So we went to go interview her. We spoke to her. What's interesting about who this woman is that she is, okay, this is going to get a little confusing, so stay with me. She is the current wife of Sadie's ex. Does that make sense? Okay.
Sisters.
So,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and Sadie and this man, they do have young girls, they have daughters. So, if you will, she's almost the stepmom, if you will, through marriage of Sadie's daughters. Um, when we found that out, it gave us a little bit more validity. I'm like, okay, she would know a little bit more about it, right? Um, and what she mentioned to us that stood out was that the older woman who was with this younger woman at the restaurant, she seemed very bossy. She seemed very like, we'll go pay, we'll go do this. No, you can't go. Stay here. Where are you going? And the woman that you see in the picture, she must be in her at least late 30s, 40s, if not mid 40s. Um, so that seemed odd for her. What is kind of hard for us too, and a lot of people question this, is that the girl, or actually the woman who she believed was Anthonette, actually went up and gave her name as Anthonette.
Right.
Because at this restaurant you have to give your name, and she spelled it the same way. And she was like, at first they looked familiar, and then she said her name, and she was like, whoa, that's weird. And then she saw the other woman. Mind you, the restaurant employee is also from Gallup. She said that the older woman also looked familiar, as if she knew them from Gallup, but she couldn't place them. So for us, we're just trying to find out who is this girl. If she's not the Anthonette we're looking for, please tell us, and that way we could cross it off. She does have very similar features to Penny, which is Anthonette's mom, and we're still looking for her. Our goal is one day we could get a billboard and plaster that picture all over Albuquerque, and hopefully somebody comes forward.
Yeah, because the restaurant place, she actually took her picture. She took the girl's
She did.
picture. Yes. And that was,
Unfortunately, the picture she did take, if you could tell, you could tell we're not, when you're not used to cameras on your cell phones, right? She took the picture in front of her to try to get them behind her, but it focused on her face instead of their face.
so it was a little blurrier, right?
Yeah, so it was a little blurry. So we had to use AI to kind of enhance some of the features.
Right.
But
That was one of the things that people had said earlier on was, okay, is she alive? Is she not alive at this point? And I think you can make a case either way, but I think that the one of the things that people would say is something like, well, okay, when she was a kid, if she was being controlled, she was being kept somewhere, whatever, trafficked or whatever might have happened to her, um, that's one thing. But as an adult, or if she had any chance later on to have any freedom, she would have, reached out to her sisters because she was like a caretaker to her younger sister. She was, like they said, she was like a little adult, which happens in families. We know that they had a lot of substance abuse and other things going on. And so, but the thing that I think about, because I've covered some cases of people that have been abducted and stayed quiet for, a long time, didn't, even when they had a chance, didn't. Number one is that because when they get taken when they're that young, they get very brainwashed and they're very afraid. They feel like this person is the only one who is going to save them, or they can, they have the control over life and death. Number one thing.
right,
The other thing we have to be, if she was, this is what I thought of, is if she was the little caretaker to her sisters, if they had all threatened her sisters, like, if you
mm,
leave, we're going to come for your sisters. Or even when her sisters were adults, they had children. We're going to come for their children. You know what I mean? So they could keep her if she was that type of person, which it seems like she was,
right.
by threatening the family members or people that she loved. So she'd be like, I'm just going to stay quiet. I don't want my sisters to be in danger. So I've seen that in a few different cases of girls that were abducted where they say, we know where you live. We know where your mom is or whatever.
Interesting that you say that. Yeah. Um, our theory, and those are two great theories. Absolutely. I had not thought about the um, potential impacts on her sister if her abductor threatened to harm them. Lewis and I, the private investigator with Beyond the Case, we've talked about, what if when she was abducted, obviously she was young, she got older, if, the person who abducted her forced her to have children with him, or she ended up having children with him, and they were holding the children as almost hostages. Like, you don't say anything because we have your kids.
Yep.
It
Yeah,
will
which
harm
was
your children. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
So, and we,
it's all about survival. It's all about
Mhm.
survival when you're in that kind of a situation. So whatever they feel, that I have to survive or to keep other people that I love safe, and plus they're already brainwashed, but especially when they're that young and they're taken. So I think,
Absolutely.
it's very possible. How long ago was this sighting in the restaurant? How long ago was that?
I believe it was in 2022.
Okay,
Yeah, it
so
hasn't
recent.
been too long.
Mhm.
Very recently, yeah.
What's on the radar now for the investigation? Where are you at in that?
So we have a huge episode coming up. We actually found one of the men who were named in that confession by Penny. We tracked him down. Thank you to all of our viewers. A tip came in, so we were able to verify that that tip is him. He is actually incarcerated right now. And believe it or not, I sent him an email, a letter asking if we could go in, and he said yes. So we have already gone in. We've done the interview with him. He's given us more information that we think is important to this investigation. In addition to that, we have spoken to other people that are closely linked to him that have given us more information on this investigation as well. So, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, what we do is we release as much as we possibly can in hopes of getting that next tip. Um, and I feel like we knew we were on the right path, but I feel even more so now. We're probably going to have to take a trip to Arizona soon.
Okay. Now, are you working with any police departments on this? Or are you guys doing this? Are you like collaborating with them at all?
We actually don't work with law enforcement until we need to. And the reason being is, we're not opposed to working with law enforcement. Um, Sometimes getting information from us isn't, I don't know how to say it nicely. They want to find it themselves.
Yeah. I was
So,
gonna say they don't want
I'm
to
like,
share. They
right.
don't want to share.
So, there have been times, and I know on one of our episodes we did a DNA test from a young woman from Texas, and we actually sent that to law enforcement. They didn't move on it. We moved on it for two reasons. One, because it's a tip, and we are going to exhaust all tips. Two, Sadie asked us to.
Mm.
Like, it's just that simple. Did it cost us a lot of money? Yeah, it did. Was it worth it? Yes, it was. Because we're able to either include or exclude it as a possible, narrative for Anthonette's case. And if you don't ever look into all these tips, as we just talked about, in the other episode, we were talking about John Wayne Gacy. How do you know if it's a good tip or not if you don't look into it?
It might be the
So
tip you needed, and you don't know. Yeah,
it
you didn't do it.
it might be the tip you needed. And even more so than that, because of that episode, our case has spread out even further. And I don't believe law enforcement is going to solve this. I
Mm-hmm.
really don't. I feel like they've had decades to solve it, and not because of lack of trying. I just think they've exhausted everything they possibly can. And at this point, they need more people to come forward. And the only way you get people to come forward is if you give them information and they say, wait a second, I think I know what happened.
Mm. Yeah. So, okay, tell us where people can follow this case, and also if they have any tips. How do they get tips to you?
So first and foremost, we accept any and all tips, even if they're anonymous. As I mentioned, we don't work directly with law enforcement until we need to. If it gets to a point where we have to do a cadaver dog dig or search, we'll bring in law enforcement and do all that the proper way. We are not stepping on any toes. But if you want to give us an anonymous tip, please email us at info@beyondthecase.com. We will take any and all tips. You don't have to give us your name. Just give us the information so we can find Anthonette. At this point, we're not looking for a prosecution. We're looking for a missing girl. a missing woman, now. But yeah, if you want to see, we have four. Yes. How many cases? We have 4 episodes out on Anthonette's case. Right now, it starts from the beginning, goes to, the searches, the DNA testing to our latest sighting. We'll have the 5th episode out within the next month. You could go to YouTube. It's Crystal Gutierrez TV. I know it's kind of hard. Let me spell it for you. Crystal, Crystal, Gutierrez, Gutierrez, TV as in television. Or go to any of our social media accounts. We do have Beyond the Case on Instagram. We also have Crystal Gutierrez TV on Facebook, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as well. We're everywhere. Most of it is under my name just because of what I did in the past. So I have more viewership there, which that's what we need. We need more people to watch our episodes, Esther. That way we get more tips.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this case with us. And I'm sure my listeners are going to be wanting to watch these videos. I mean, like I said, it's like following along with you on this investigation. And it's fascinating. And I love that, the family is involved and you get to see and you get to hear directly from them about Anthonette and who she was and what she was like. I think that's really important for people to know. Obviously, this girl is very strong, very resilient. So there is still some hope that she can be found. And we're all praying for that. And we will share that with our listeners. And thank you so much, Crystal. This was so great to have this discussion with you. And we'll be seeing you soon at the convention.
Yes.
If you have any information about the Anthonette Cayedito case, send your tips to info@beyondthecase.com. And to follow Crystal's work, check the links in the description. For more information and to get your tickets to the Beyond the Crime Convention, go to beyondthecrimeconvention.com. and use our discount code BEYOND-OUAC. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, take care and be safe.